Hello everyone and welcome to another tutorial from Mekanism. In today's video I'm going to show you how to make the fusion reactor. First you're going to need two your machines. The first one is a pressurized reaction chamber made with two steel, two basic chemical tanks, two basic control circuits, one infused alloy, one enrichment chamber and one dynamic tank. And this allows you to get the second machine. But first you need to transfer biofuel into substrate using hydrogen and water, which also makes ethylene, which you then use the rotatory condensator to make into liquid ethylene, which allows you to make HDPE pellets from substrate and oxygen. Next, you place the pellets in the enrichment chamber, and that allows you to get the HDPE sheets, which is required to make the solar neutron activator, which is the next machine. It uses the sheet we made with two reinforced alloy, two elite control circuits, three bronze and one steel casing. And this machine allows you to turn nuclear waste into polonium, which you then turn into polonium pellets in the pressurized reaction chamber with water and polonium. You have to get a waste barrel next to it, so you can store the spent nuclear waste. Now how to make the actual reactor. First you're going to need the fusion reactor frame, which is 4 atomic alloy, 4 polonium pellets and 1 steel casing. Next you're going to need 1 fusion reactor controller, which is 2 ultimate control circuits, 1 glass pane, 1 basic chemical tank and 5 reactor frames. Then you're going to need at least 2 ports. I recommend getting more. Each one is made with 4 fusion reactor frames and 1 control circuit. Next, you can get a logic stick adapter with 4 redstone and 1 fusion frame. And lastly, you're going to need to get the laser focus matrix, which is 4 reactor glass and 1 redstone block. That's all to create a reactor, and now how to jumpstart it. You're going to need a lot of lasers, each one made with 1 diamond, 1 steel casing, 2 energy tablets and 3 reinforced alloy. And you're also going to need laser amplifiers, which is 1 diamond, 7 steel and 1 basic energy cube. And the last thing you're going to need to jumpstart it is a whole RAM, which is 4 gold dust and a metallurgic infuser along with some carbon. Then you need to actually put fuel in it. The fuel is made from tritium and deuterium. The deuterium you make in an electronic separator with heavy water, which is water from a pump with filter upgrade. And the tritium is lithium in the solar neutron activator. Then you just place this in the middle column and it gets filled. Now, unlike any other multi-block in Mekanism, the fusion reactor has a set size and shape, so you have to do exactly as I say. So first, place the frames in a 9x9 at the bottom. Then in the middle, place one block out, like this. Then on every single one of these blocks, do the same thing. Next, you're going to go outside and build a block in each of these corners. And also on the top. And now all you have to do is just connect it, but leave the middle block open, because that's where the controller goes. Now it should light up, but that's not all. You also need to place the other things in. So first, you have to place a laser focus matrix on one of the sides. Then you're going to need some ports. I recommend getting like 3. 2 for input, 1 for output. You can configure the output with just the configurator by shift clicking it. Then what you need to do is place the laser amplifiers near the matrix. You have to have the red dot facing the matrix. Then you click the first laser amplifier and set it to 2 GHz. Next, you place some power and lasers on top, and now you can see it starts getting power. The more lasers you put down, the more power it will get. You can also see that it breaks blocks, so you have to be careful of where you place it. Now it starts getting power. And the last thing you have to do is open the fusion reactor, and you can see this slot here. That's where you place the whole drum. I've already made a prepared reactor to show you how it works, but first I need to show you how to fuel it. The reason why I said 2 or 3 the ports is because you can either fuel it with tritium and deuterium separately and it gets fused in the reactor. That's easier, but there's a limit on how fast it can get. Or you can put DT fuel straight in, but it requires it at 1000 millimeters per tick, which is a lot harder than these two because you can set it to how much you want. For now I'm just going to set these two for input and output. And now I'm going to show you what happens once you start it. I've already placed it inside, and now the only thing I have to do is set this to fire. And now, as you can see, the reactor started working. You can see a little animation inside, and if you look inside the matrix I've prepared already, you can see that it starts outputting a lot of energy. Now, once you start it, you can see you have multiple different stats. First is heat. You can see how hot the reactor is. First is plasma, that's basically the inside. Then the case, that's basically the outside. Next you're going to see fuel. Here you can see multiple different things. First you have the tritium and deuterium. That's how much you have inside the reactor. Then you have injection rate. You can set this to any odd number, and it basically means how much it's generating power. It requires more fuel but also creates more energy. I believe it's just a basic setup of one of each. You can get up to, I believe, something around 50, and if you speed it up you should be able to get to the max, which is 98. If you want more than 98, you're going to have to use the DT fuel. And as you saw before, it was like here, the heat, but now you can see that it's full and still going up. Next, the stats. You can see that there's two ways you can cool the reactor. First is air, which is basically without anything to cool it. Then the max plasma and casing temperature, that's as far as these two can get, which basically means how much you can get. And then the passive generation, it's how much you generate per tick. So as you saw before, it was like 500,000, and now you can see it's 10 and still going up. And next you have the water cooled to do that, you have to get water source and pump it into the reactor, and that basically allows it to create steam. Because here you can see that there's a little white arrow in here. There's normally will be power if I didn't have anything to store it. There would be power here. And you can see a little gray arrow. If I pump water in, it will switch, this will become white, and here there will be steam, and here there will be power. Or it's the other way around, I'm not really sure. But one of these will have steam and one of these will have power. And then you can pump the steam into the wind turbine from before. You can check the just enough mechanism multi-blocks window to see how much power it generates based on the injection rate. Although it is a little bugged, it can allow you to set it to anything you want, but you can only do 98 or 1000, nothing in between. So you can see that the max with the deuterium is 90 million, but if you set it to max, it's 200 million. You can also check if you want it to be water cooled, and here you can see that basically halves your passive generation, but allows you to create almost 100,000 kilobuckets per tick, which you can then pump into the wind turbine. So I copied the wind turbine from before and placed it down, and as you can see, it started producing a bit less, like 2 million. I connect some water to it, and if you open the steam turbine, you can see that it's generating 4 million FE. So while this lost like 1 or 2 million, this started producing 4, so in total you gained around 3. And if you look inside, you can see that the only problem is it doesn't have enough water, which is probably the easiest one to fix. You can just place down multiple of these, and this allows you to get a lot more water. Although you have to connect multiple pipes to it, because one doesn't get enough water out in time. So now if I connect a bit more pipes to it, and I open it again, you can see this is still the same, but now it's generating almost 10 million again. So while it lost around the same amount, you can see that it's generating a lot more. You can basically keep making more water until you run into the problem of fuel, then you can switch to this. You can basically expand it based on your need. Although the base one is probably enough, as long as you aren't making antimatter, which I'm going to show later on. Also, you don't need to be as careful with this reactor, because if you break it, it doesn't start spewing radiation everywhere. So you don't really need to be that careful about where you place it. And this is going to be the end of this video. I hope you guys enjoyed, and bye.